After returning to the hive after a long day of pollination, the tiny honeybee is greeted with a buzzing welcome. Hundreds of the small insects surround the adventurer, waiting for the main event, the waggle dance. The waggle dance is a form of communication used by these adventurers, the forager bees, to share information about nectar or pollen sources with their nestmates. Forager bees may travel long distances against harsh environments as their duty to the hive, and may sometimes never return. However, when a lucky bee discovers a rich floral patch, she returns to the hive and performs a specific pattern of movements across the vertical combs, waggling her abdomen in different directions. Even if the forager bee puts itself at risk, she is fulfilled by ensuring a consistent food supply, benefiting the hive society. At the end of each day, the bees gain from this exchange, utilizing each other to thrive and grow their environment. However, it isn't just bees that benefit from each other, because just like the bees and many other life across this big, beautiful planet, we all thrive from social exchange.
The social exchange theory.
The social exchange theory, formulated by George Omens in 1958, is a conceptual framework that applies basic economic principles to understand human behavior. It evaluates relationships in terms of the costs and benefits to both parties involved, providing a practical means of quantifying the effort an individual invests in a relationship. While the original theory did not account for abstract costs and benefits, such as emotional expressions, later adaptations, including the version we currently use, do consider these factors. With this in mind, friendships can be classified into a hierarchy, with those less involved in terms of costs and benefits at the bottom, and those that are more involved at the top. Predetermined groups, those formed due to uncontrolled conditions like seating charts or school groups, are at the bottom of the scale, since these individuals are less involved in relationships they didn't autonomously choose. Then there are acquaintances, people you don't know well but interact with occasionally. These can be mutual friends, people from the same sending district, or bus buddies. Above are instrumental friends that are kept for practical benefits, such as members of your study group or homework buddies. And finally, at the top are close friends, who you exchange practical and emotional benefits with and emotionally confide in.
The hornet, another eusocial insect that follows the social exchange theory. The home of the hornets, Woodbridge Academy. Here at the Academy, we can see the impact of the social exchange theory.
Some students actually depend too much on their friends to cover up for them if they're absent and they don't really want to put in a lot of effort.
People are most comfortable with close friends. Close friends provide many benefits outside the classroom, which can offset the costs of doing group projects.
So sometimes it does worry me when I see the outcome of the project is really dependent on one person instead of multiples, and there is a lack of division of work in a very equitable manner.
Students can take advantage of their close friends during group projects, a cost they can easily balance by providing benefits elsewhere. In Ms. Hoffman's class, many students choose to sit with their close friends and end up doing less work in these projects as a result.
I think that close friends are extremely important.
I would say that most of the friends I've made at the Academy are close friends of mine.
However, close friendships create a comfortable atmosphere for most, a space where students can find their identities in this small building.
Our school is unique, especially in the friendships that we make, just because there's so few of us. And I don't think in any other school, like, a grade knows everyone else in the grade.
In the beginning, I guess the seating charts kind of helped us meet new people and become introduced to the different people at the Academy.
Yeah, hybrid really helped us bond because there was 9 people max in our classes at all times.
But I feel like later on, in the later few years, people started forming like closer friend groups, and when the teachers started letting us choose our own seats, we started to move around and drift towards them.
Putting people with others that they aren't normally used to working with might, be an introduction that they need to something that could happen later on.
Instrumental friends are the balance points within these cost and benefit relationships, as they're friendships with give and take dynamics. Instrumental friends can become close friends with all the complications that this entails, or they could remain simply instrumental friends with purely mutual benefits.
Having those instrumental friendships could actually become more problematic to my life than helpful. So slowly I don't want to say I weeded out people, but that's kind of what it was. And I started really only sticking to my close friends and people that I know that I'm going to talk to after high school.
Close friends and acquaintances are kind of prioritized the most here, just because if you are in one of those like cost-benefit relationships here, it's kind of hard to keep it at just a cost-benefit relationship. And you end up becoming relatively close friends with the person you end up talking to.
A lot of us have similar priorities, similar academic aspirations, and similar values. So we kind of know to like lean on each other whenever we need something because we know everyone else is kind of similar to us.
Yeah. Over time, over these past 4 years, we've always, had each other. Like, it's a small group of guys in our grade.
We always had our backs.
Last year, we were put into cohorts of 22 to 23 students with the same exact schedules. As we had no choice with regard to these groups, most of the students formed predetermined seating relationships. These relationships are far less involved, with fewer costs and fewer benefits. On the other hand, junior year also helped students determine who their true friends really are and helped them establish clearer boundaries for each friend type.
Going into junior year and going through junior year, our dynamic really developed.
Maybe being with the same people all day, every day would get a little boring or annoying.
We always try to make positive of a bad situation, and we always try to get everyone, happy and laughing. We always try to brighten up the environment.
Yeah.
Now, it's up to each individual student to see the depths of their friendships and relationships. So take a closer look, and maybe you will find your hive and your way to be a part of it.
Ideal Woodbridge Academy student does over the summer after junior year. Visit college campuses. Have websites of these colleges, checking application create any college jobs.
Applying to colleges and getting ahead of college applications and writing essays.
Writing college essays?
Focus on college apps, and they're trying to finish up their probably some kind of research.
Maybe doing research on the Harvard professor.
Opportunity.
Research programs. So research programs and probably studying for next year.
And just studying for, I don't know,
It sort of depends on experience.
getting more hours, being an EMT.
Look for internship opportunities. Try to find
Applying for internship.
internship programs live. I think there would probably be a lot of volunteering over the summer. And about 400 volunteer hours.
Volunteering, shadowing.
Find doctors, medical doctors, shadows. Trying to find a job. Help out with paper college.
Working 4 hours.
Try to do as many programs as they can.
I guess enjoying nature and cancer, potentially. Whether I would actually do that, probably not.
I'm very far from the ideal, and I doubt that I'll be able to do all the ideal things. What I'm going to be doing is probably definitely applying to colleges and also working my lifeguard internships and getting just kind of a ton of hours.
And I guess I'm doing some of them. Not as much as a lot of people, but I am doing some.
I was studying for the SAT.
Not really. I did volunteering, yeah, but it was whatever I was doing before.
As tensions and uncertainty run historically high regarding college admissions, the summer after junior year remains a pivotal stage in the lives of high school students. Extracurriculars over the summer are among the last activities reported to colleges on the Common App and constitute the keystone activities of students' portfolios. Summer, to Woodbridge Academy students, is more than just having fun. It's about expanding resumes and building connections. In the midst of this uncertainty, Academy students seek out a reliable reference they can use to guide what they do over summer. Proposed during World War II by American sociologist Herbert H. Hyman, reference group theory states that individuals adopt characteristics they ascribe to a reference group that they're either a part of or wish to be a part of. For example, consider a JV athlete that looks to varsity athletes as a reference. The JV athlete may believe that the varsity athlete wakes up early to practice. As such, the JV athlete may begin to emulate the same behavior. Students at the academy look to what they believe to be ideal, high-achieving students to do over their own summer. The preconceived notions they assign these hypothetical students motivates their own actions over the summer. These views are not isolated to students alone. Teachers and faculty share similar beliefs about the objectives of this last summer.
Really, they become EMTs. I think that is the most respectable, as far as the colleges, are concerned. The most useful, in my opinion, extracurricular a Woodbridge Academy student can do between junior and senior year.
By the end of July to August, that's when I would most likely recommend start thinking about your goals and what you would like to accomplish for your senior year. Keep it simple and keep it basic. Obviously the classes you don't have to worry about until the school year starts per se, unless of course they gave you summer homework, cough, college essay, homework assignment for English, cough, cough. But I'm just saying, take it one step at a time. Your main goals will be college applications and the college essay and other supplementary components. I would just make a honey-do list, think about when your due dates are, and take it one step at a time. Only deal with the one that's due the earliest first. Take it as you go.
Well, ideally what they should do is go to an EMS program and become an EMT.
And do you think the majority of your students do that activity?
No, even though I recommend it.
While these beliefs are not necessarily good or bad, perhaps there are more to summer that students are not taking advantage of. In my opinion, and I'm aware it might not be the most popular opinion out there, Academy students work hard for the entire school year and should take the summer months to learn without deadlines. Experiences like these broaden the student's scope of interest and add spice to life. Want to stand out on a college resume or in an essay? Tell them about the time you looked through a photo album with a veteran, or took part in an eating contest, or walked every block in your neighborhood to count the fire hydrants. Even if you think it has no merit at all, you are always learning. So in the summer, take your time and do it at your own pace.
The way a child is parented can significantly affect everything in their life, from their perspective of themselves to their academic success. It is important to acknowledge the impact of different types of parenting and how exactly it influences the lives of Woodbridge Academy students. There are 4 main types of parenting styles widely accepted in psychology: authoritative, authoritarian, permissive, and neglectful. Parents who utilize authoritative parenting are supportive and show interest in their kids' activities, but are not overbearing and allow children to make constructive mistakes. Authoritarian parents tend to have a one-way mode of communication, where the parent establishes strict rules that the child obeys. There's little to no room for negotiations from the child, and the rules are not usually explained. They expect their children to uphold these standards while making no errors. Permissive parents are lenient, do not expect their children to adhere to boundaries or rules, and avoid confrontation. Parents using the uninvolved, or sometimes referred to as indifferent or neglectful, approach are neglectful or rejecting of their children and do not provide most, if any, necessary parenting responsibilities. We interviewed a Woodbridge Academy alum about her experience. We consider her parents to be permissive, as they don't have many expectations, but are still supportive of her decisions.
Hi, my name is Riva Sheth, and I'm an alumni from Woodbridge Academy, the class of 2023, and I'm now an honors finance and entrepreneurship major at Temple University.
Okay, so we're going to be talking to Reba about how her parents have kind of had an impact on her overall application in going to the academy. So Reba, why did you first decide to apply to the academy?
Yeah, so definitely in middle school, I was interested in pursuing the healthcare route. So I applied to Woodbridge Academy because they specialize in this field, and I thought that it would be the right path for me.
Okay, great. So do you think that your parents had any type of influence, or how did their support kind of impact your decision into applying for the academy?
Yeah, so my parents definitely had an influence when applying to Woodbridge Academy. They were pretty open about my decision, and they kind of left it all to me. They never forced me to go, and they never said, you cannot go here. So I was independent in that sense, and I was able to do something that I wanted to do, and that was coming here.
According to a survey with 45 juniors and seniors, 68% of current juniors and seniors truly wanted to attend Woodbridge Academy at the time of application. 46% of them now say that their expectations have changed very much. We interviewed a sibling of a current Woodbridge Academy student. He plans to apply to this school next year. We consider his parents to be authoritarian because they showcase high expectations, but communicate little warmth in his decisions.
Are you applying to the Woodbridge Academy?
Most likely.
Why are you thinking of applying to the Woodbridge Academy?
I mean, like, my sister says good stuff about this academy, so I trust her.
How did your parents affect your decision to apply?
I mean, before, like, a few years ago, they were like, oh, you should definitely go, and like, okay, like, I'm being pushed into it, and now they're just letting me be, surprisingly.
What are your parents' expectations for you applying?
They just want me to apply to be, like, to have a successful job in life, and, you know, I honestly don't know. They've just been saying, you should go there, and I'm like, okay.
In a survey taken by 45 Woodbridge Academy juniors and seniors, 46% of them said that their parents made the decision or were highly involved in their decision to come to this school. The Academy showcases stories of students with different parenting styles. Our surveys and interviews found that Academy parents tend to be very high in demand and expectations, regardless of whether they are high in support. Our lingering questions include: how do such parenting styles impact how Academy students view success, especially with their changed expectations?
If somebody told you the grass was blue, would you believe them? No. What if two people told you with absolute certainty that the grass on your lawn was blue? What if a room full of people knew for a fact that grass is blue and you were the only one who saw green? Under those circumstances, wouldn't you need to just accept that such a large number of people couldn't be wrong? It would be a lot easier just to go along with them. Why fight over something so trivial? The problem arises when you need to eventually face the truth. Groups can be wrong, grass isn't blue, and not everyone needs to be an EMT. In 1951, German psychologist Solomon Asch aimed to examine the extent to which social pressures from the majority could cause a person to conform. His concept was developed based on the theory that people would disregard their own perception of reality to agree with the consensus, even when it's wrong. He did this specifically through the line experiment.
Alright, class, which one of these lines is the shortest?
Line C. Line C. Line C. Line C?
At the Academy, many students partake in similar extracurriculars out of conformity. Notably, a very common one is the involvement in an EMT squad. According to a survey distributed to juniors and seniors, approximately 70% of eligible Academy students have been involved in an EMT squad during their time.
How many of you have experience in EMS?
But what is the mindset behind the disproportionate high number of students from our school that engage in this activity? Some of the survey responses helped to shed light on this phenomenon. My parents signed me up because I had a sibling already doing it, and we were trying to build my college resume. I thought it would be a good way to get healthcare experience. I also seemed like the right thing to do at that point in my life, because other people were doing it too. EMT looks good for colleges, and my senior friends told me it looks good on apps. A majority of the responses mirrored these sentiments, indicating a clear focus on doing EMT because the norm was headed in that direction.
So, why did you decide to become an EMT?
I felt that a lot of kids were also getting the experience of being an EMT, so I felt that I should also do it so I would stand out in my college. No, not stand out, but like, you know.
I decided to be an EMT because a lot of my friends were joining one of the squads called Morgan Squad that has a lot of the kids from our school there.
Because my friends are doing it and I wanted to see if I actually want to do med.
I did EMT because I kind of liked it, but at the same time I needed experience for my college resume.
Because my sister joined it first, and because my dad said so, and because it's good for college.
And I thought, well, if everyone else is doing it, I should also be doing it because it's like the basis.
These findings call into question the authenticity of students who take part in popular extracurriculars. Are they truly passionate, or are they just after similar results that have been achieved by those around them?
Do you notice a pattern in the types of people who are interested in EMS?
In general, I see a lot of people who definitely want to help others,
And then there's a lot of people, younger people, like yourself, who joined initially because you have an interest in medicine or in the health field. And I think initially there's always this thought that if you do this, it'll help you with getting into a good college, helping you with your resume. But I've noticed eventually a lot of you stick around and you continue to volunteer and help out. And so that just shows that, you also have the heart you want to help other people. So.
Thank you.
Many of them are inclined to join the masses with a common professional goal in mind, but they endure a significant shift after students begin their experience. With time, students develop a true passion for emergency services and the medical field.
Every day, hundreds of Woodbridge Academy students walk in feeling dejected without a sense of purpose. Why are our students so lost? We're going to use sociology to find out. To begin, we asked our fellow juniors and seniors one simple question. What's the highest number of pages you've written on a lab report? Here's what they said.
32.
Around 37.
It's like at least 40 pages.
52.
52 pages.
65. 75.
86.
Why are WA students going out of their way to write such long papers? Well, this is where sociology can help us. Strain theory was developed in the 20th century to analyze how individuals strive to achieve their goals. We're going to focus on ritualism, a specific branch of strain theory present in Woodbridge Academy. An individual experiences ritualism when they disagree with what the goals of society should be, but go along with the means of achieving those goals nonetheless. This often leads to dejected, hopeless individuals without a sense of purpose in life. Now, why does that sound familiar? Let's see how ritualism is found in Woodbridge Academy. To do this, we first need to decide what is the perceived societal goal amongst Woodbridge Academy students. To do this, we asked some of our teachers.
What goals do Woodbridge Academy students have?
I think when the students come in, their goal is to be a doctor, it's usually a doctor and they switch. I think that's their goal. And freshman year, I try to reel them in and think of a goal for that year, a long-term goal, but they don't think about getting to their goal.
So our first question is, what goals do Woodbridge Academy students have in the classroom?
Seniors or just any student?
Just the average student.
The average student wants to get good grades. That's their goal, is to have the best grades no matter what than the kid next to them.
Alright, so now we know what the perceived goals of a Woodbridge Academy student are. But remember, in ritualism, an individual rejects the societal goal. So, what is the actual goal of a Woodbridge Academy student? We'll find this out by interviewing some of our fellow students.
What do you think is your main goal as a Woodbridge Academy student?
My main goal, I would say, was to figure out what kind of person I want to become. So things like what kind of career I want to have, what kind of friends I want to make, where I want to go with my life going forward into the future.
Thank you.
So it's clear that the goal of a typical Woodbridge Academy student isn't to be the best student all the time. So why do we still strive so hard to get good grades and work hard and write 100-page lab reports? To answer this question, we asked some of the hardest working people we know, the juniors. Are you in at least one club you don't enjoy?
Yes.
So why are you doing that club?
I just want to learn new things, but I did not end up enjoying it.
Have you ever done extra on an individual assignment for a better grade even though you didn't learn anything from it?
Yes.
So why'd you do it?
Sometimes when the directions are unclear, the teacher doesn't explain the assignment in a way that I can understand. I think that sometimes it's better to just do more and cover all your bases instead of just asking, like, is this what I'm supposed to do?
So whether it be writing 1,000,000 pages on a lab report or joining 1,000,000 clubs, ritualism is a cornerstone of the Woodbridge Academy experience. But sometimes it's important to remember, quality over quantity.
Woodbridge Academy is infamously known for its extreme competitiveness and obsession over academics. When it comes to grades, students of the academy prioritize academics and resume building above all else. However, how does this competitiveness transfer over to Woodbridge Academy athletics? Rather, what academy characteristics are prevalent in our athletics department? Throughout our investigations, we came to the conclusion that in Woodbridge Academy athletics, the idea of self-fulfilling prophecy is a common theme.
Roughly how many sport games or events have you attended?
0.
0.
1.
0. Self-fulfilling prophecy is the idea that expectations placed on a person, either by themselves or by others, will result in those expectations coming true. For example, if you believe you're going to fail a test, you decide not to study. Since you might think there's no point in trying, you then fail the exam, resulting in your expectations becoming reality. This pushes your esteem lower since you found your expectations to be true, thus repeating the cycle, since it's fueled through low self-esteem.
This idea of self-fulfilling prophecy is prevalent in academy athletics. External factors and internal factors both weigh on the self-esteem and game performance of athletes. We interviewed and surveyed a wide range of students and coaches to get a good perspective of this topic, weighing in on the different factors that equal an outcome at a game. Student athletes from both the varsity soccer and softball team were asked a few questions, which were based on their perspective of their respective team. We interviewed the soccer team, asking about their views on the influence of the academy mindset on the players.
What is your name and what grade are you in?
I'm Sai and I'm in 11th grade.
Ari and I'm a junior.
I'm Max Fallen and I'm in grade 11.
Ayush and I'm a junior.
Would you say you feel supported by your classmates and peers overall?
Somewhat.
Can you elaborate?
I feel like for soccer, there's more support than tennis because I play both sports. Especially like in the big rivalry games, like against like FCA, for example, we have a lot of support. But against like in other big games, we don't have as much support as maybe like other schools do. So.
From your observations, how many classmates and peers generally show up to the games to support either soccer or softball?
I'd say about 15 to 20 if it's senior night. If it's MCA, maybe around the same 15, 20, maybe a few teachers.
And what about any regular game?
No, maybe some parents.
Yeah.
I don't see
There's like a few, not a lot, like 2 or 3 people.
Have you ever heard the other team talking about Woodbridge Academy?
Yeah.
What have they been saying?
Bad things.
Like what?
Like vulgar things that I can say.
2 representatives from the softball team also shared similar responses identifying similar patterns. Freshman Soha and senior Jotlin shared their insight and experience playing under a Woodbridge Academy team. When asked if the team's abilities adequately represented the school, Soha claimed no because people think we are bad and we are not. She also reported that on average no one shows up to the games in support. Jotlin shared similar thoughts. Through these interviews, the general mindset of student athletes at the academy are clear. We believe we will fail, and we tend to prove ourselves right.
To further support this theory, we sent out a survey asking how many students have attended any athletic event here at Woodbridge Academy. On average, roughly 76% of the students have never attended any game from any academy sport. Coaches here have faced the constant obstacle of breaking the cycle of self-fulfilling prophecy. We interviewed Coach Majalewski, varsity soccer and softball coach, and Coach Cuesta, who has coached varsity softball.
Please introduce yourself and state how many years you have been coaching and which sports you have coached.
I'm Scott Majalewski. I'm a health and phys ed teacher at Woodbridge Academy. I've been coaching for over 10 years, baseball, softball, basketball, and soccer.
What singular factor do you think holds back your team the most? An example would be stress or fear.
Fear of failure and lack of time and parental support.
From your observations, how many students generally show up to games to support?
Very, very little unless there's a special occasion. Then we bring out a whole army.
Please introduce yourself and state how many years you've been coaching and which sports you've coached.
My name is Jerry Cuesta Aviles, and I started coaching when I was 15 years old. I coached softball, varsity softball. I've coached JV basketball in this school, and believe it or not, my first coaching experience here was cheerleading.
Which singular factor do you think holds back your team the most? An example would be stress or fear.
Lack of commitment. Also, I've seen, besides the lack of commitment and them not wanting, not that they don't want to, other things are prioritized to what they have to do, and a lot of times they'll miss because of exams or schoolwork or a job or they don't realize the commitment that they need to make to the team, especially at a varsity level. So then the second part of that I was going to discuss is teamwork. Because when we're not all together, we can't all work on what we need to work with. So if we don't have that, commitment, then we can't get the teamwork. And I always felt like that, as the years went on, was a missing piece or factor.
Do you think that's a widespread issue in many public schools, or is it more of an isolated event here in our school?
Isolated because of the rigor of the curriculum here and the demands.
Through the words of coaches, players, and students, it's obvious to see the impact of the lack of support and low expectations has on academy sports. Although students prioritize academics extremely, players feel unmotivated to perform to the best of their abilities, resulting in fear-beating potential. The cycle of self-fulfilling prophecy continues throughout each sports season, impacting both coaches and players as they feel underrepresented here at Woodbridge Academy.
In gym, what's your favorite sport to play?
I would say cornhole.
I think volleyball.
It's probably volleyball. I'm volleyball.
Thank you.
Volleyball.
I'd pick volleyball. Thanks.
Of the 20 students we asked, 18 reported that their favorite sport was volleyball. Volleyball at Woodbridge Academy provides an excellent example to understand collective behavior theory. Collective behavior theory says that crowds are not simply a sum of their individual parts. When an individual enters a crowd, they undergo a profound psychological transformation. When a new or unexpected situation occurs, a person abandons what they know and develops new behaviors. The novel stress of Woodbridge Academy due to competition for grades and college applications transforms unathletic individuals into people who enjoy sports. It is not an uncommon sight to see students studying and stressing out over exams at the Woodbridge Academy. Stress is unavoidable and essential to the Woodbridge Academy experience.
My name is Scott Modulewski. I'm a health and phys ed teacher at Woodbridge Academy.
How would you assess the students' stress levels at the school?
For most students, high levels of stress for the most part.
And how would you assess the students' athleticism?
Typically moderate to low.
My name is Jerry Cuesta Vilez, and I've been here over 30 years. During my 30 years here, I taught phys ed and health and driver's ed. Well, there are times in the gym, I remember when I was teaching phys ed, that they would bring their notes or their books onto the court with them, or doing exercises with their books in their hand, trying to study because they're cramming and jamming for these tests.
There is something that melts away the stress of Woodbridge Academy students. Gym volleyball.
Well, if we know we're playing volleyball, like we see the nets, we get really excited. But I remember like last year I had an exam in like a class, and then I was like nervous about the exam because I thought I did bad. But then in gym after that, we were playing volleyball, and I completely forgot about the exam, and yeah, I've been really happy.
The pep rally at Woodbridge Academy is not a celebration of sports teams like at most large public high schools. It is a competition between grades. However, sports play a unique role in the pep rally. Volleyball unites students within a grade against other grades. Volleyball also ameliorates the competition of one of the most prominent clubs at Woodbridge Academy. A cesspool of competition, but a uniting force for students. Take a look at the HOSA volleyball tournament.
Hi, I'm Avi. I'm the president at the HOSA chapter for school. In general, HOSA is a platform to compete, to meet new people, but at our school, unfortunately, at times it can just be a solitary event where people just focus on their own competitions and they don't really engage in community or the framework of HOSA outside of that. While there are team events, a lot of the events at HOSA, generally speaking, are singular events, but with volleyball, even if you weren't on the team, you could still come out and cheer for the team. Like,
like they say, talent wins games, but collaboration and teamwork wins championships.
In a barren wasteland where everyone shares and every person for themselves mentality, volleyball serves as an oasis of school spirit. When students gather for volleyball games, emergent norm theory suggests that new norms and shared expectations for behavior arise. It unites students, allowing them to act collectively, be it momentarily, forgetting the pressure of standing out and making a unique impression.
Prom, the most highly anticipated event of senior year at the Academy, the night of all nights. The search for the perfect dress or tuxedo, whispers of who will ask who, a dazzling culmination of all 4 years of high school. But amidst the bustling preparation, tension lingers beneath the surface. Many Academy seniors embark on an exciting quest to find a prom date. Will it be a friend, a significant other, or simply an acquaintance? Either way, this seems to be a decision holding much significance and exhilaration. But why? In this segment, we will explore the answer to that exact question, navigating Academy seniors' perspectives on prom dates. Is there a relation to the looking glass self?
To begin, what exactly is the looking glass self theory? Essentially, it's when someone believes that others have a certain perception about them, which causes them to then change aspects of themselves to match those perceived perceptions. However, in reality, these perceptions are fabricated, and others might not actually hold such views about the person. To break it down further, there are 3 core assumptions of the looking glass self theory, as summarized by its developer Charles Cooley. Number 1. An individual in a social situation imagines how they appear to others. Number 2. That individual imagines others' judgment of that appearance. Number 3. The individual develops feelings about and responds to those perceived judgments. Now we ask the question, can this theory be observed in the class of 2024's search for a prom date? To gather opinions of the senior class regarding prom and prom dates, we surveyed the grid and received 45 responses, which is about 67% of the class of 24. Here were some of our results. When asked to rank in order what they believed to be the most important when it came to prom, 46.7% of respondents reported that finding a prom date and getting a promposal was in their top 3 most important prom activities. 28.9% reported that having a prom date is essential, while 80% reported that having a prom date would be nice. 35.6% reported that people will think less of them if they do not have a prom date, and 31.1% reported that it would be embarrassing to go to prom without a date. We also interviewed some seniors for more personal responses regarding thoughts on prom dates.
I think in this environment, it'd probably be like an 8, because just the social pressure of everyone having a prom date is probably it's high.
I'd say an 8, because I think what makes prom special, that separates it from different gatherings, is the fact that you can spend it with one specific person.
Personally, I don't think my prom date should be a stranger to me because obviously we're going to get a day together. But also, I don't think they have to be that close with me because it's also just a day. Because we only have promposals and the day of prom itself.
With the other aspects of a prom date, like promposals and the corsage boutonniere situation, you have to at least be able to communicate with the other person, as well as if you're traveling there or if you're doing something after or before. So I wanted to at least be someone I could communicate with and someone who I at least somewhat know.
I think there is a form of judgment, not really for the person, but more so that prom is kind of a fun experience where you get to talk about your prom date and you get to gossip a little bit, I guess. And not having a prom date, while you don't think less of the person, it's like they don't get to be a part of that little experience with everyone else.
I think for some people, especially a few months ago, there was a lot of as people started getting prom dates in the same friend group, or as more and more people started picking up on who they're gonna go to prom with and things like that. I think there was a lot more pressure and people felt a lot more of a rush or a need to have a prom date. I think at first there was a lot more people who were oh, it's fine if I don't have a date, but as if everyone around you has a prom date, you feel a bit more of an intense pressure to get one. So I think it did affect a few people.
So
Do Woodbridge Academy seniors actually care about others having prom dates, as people tend to believe?
I think it's cool, but it kind of feels forced sometimes. Because like people have to like, it's like a lot of them are just friends. So it's like not like.
Personally, I don't think it's necessary because prom is essentially individual. Because it's your dress, it's your corsage and everything. So I don't really think a date is really needed to have a good experience with prom.
I think it's cute. I think promposals are nice. I think prom dates are like cute, I guess. I don't really think it's a big deal if you have one or if you don't, but I think it's nice. Like, I don't really have anything against it.
As the looking glass self-theory states, people imagine how others perceive them, and they respond to these perceived perceptions. As we can see, the made-up perceptions do not actually exist. Though many Academy seniors gave a lot of importance to having a prom date, and many felt that others would look down upon them without a date, this was not actually the case. The false perceptions that they created were just that, false.
More than just your typical fast food restaurant, McDonald's holds values that can be translated to all sorts of concepts. The culmination of McDonald's assembly line approach, focusing on efficiency, production, and control, is a term coined by George Ritzer, McDonaldization. This concept can arise in the most diverse environments. Woodbridge Academy's HOSA chapter, a victim. McDonaldization is described as the way in which the principles that fast food chains use to succeed are applied to the world at large. These principles include calculability, predictability, control, and efficiency. Ritzer's theory stated that large corporations that promote robot-like, assembly line work have caused these principles to take over the mechanics of society. Some common examples of McDonaldization are drive-through windows, self-service kiosks, assembly lines, order-ahead apps, standardized testing, ATMs, and self-checkout lanes. McDonaldization benefits society by making more products and resources available to a larger group of people. It also allows people to communicate and make purchases at any time. However, the downside of McDonaldization is homogeneity. It leads to a world where everything looks and feels the same, stripping away uniqueness and variety.
The biggest example of this phenomenon is with HOSA.
Woodbridge Academy HOSA, the largest club in the school, and an organization which prepares Woodbridge Academy students for the future. But do they really? 220 out of 275 students participate in this club. Is it really that important?
We decided to ask around.
My name is Tamashri. I'm a senior at Woodbridge Academy Magnet School, and I was in HOSA sophomore year, and then I quit after that.
Hi, my name is Aishani. I'm a freshman.
Hi, I'm Bhavesh Mande. I am the current NJ HOSA state member at large, and I am running to be an international executive officer.
So use one word to describe the experience you had.
It was a cult.
Alright, so what is HOSA?
HOSA is a cult that is advertised to us as a club about healthcare, but really takes all of our money and forces us to put time and effort into something that does not matter.
Did students actually gain the knowledge they expected to gain when they first joined?
How did it impact your life? HOSA.
It didn't really. Studying the topic was pretty interesting. I found pharmacology very interesting, which is why I chose the event. But it didn't impact my life that much. It was fun going to ILC though.
What first attracted you to join HOSA and what made you quit?
I was attracted to it because I wanted to go to internationals and get all the medals, and then I quit because I already went to internationals, so I didn't feel like I needed to do any more.
Okay. Least favorite thing about HOSA?
How much there is at the academy. It's not anything unique. Everyone has it on their resume, and they only do it for the resume. A lot of students, no one's doing it because they want to. It's just like an efficient process. Do you think Woodbridge Academy HOSA is unique? Why or why not?
I do believe Woodbridge Academy HOSA is unique because it is a large club. When I talk to other advisors and tell them we have over 200 students in our club, they are all shocked because their clubs are a lot smaller, so we are definitely unique in that aspect.
What's your impression now of HOSA?
HOSA now makes me feel sad. It makes me feel disheartened because there is so much bias that it's really hard to win, especially as a freshman.
Is it Woodbridge Academy HOSA or is it a cult? You decide. Every kid has been doing the same thing to succeed, producing the same thing everywhere. Woodbridge Academy HOSA is a prime example of the social theory of McDonaldization permeating its every facet, but it's not the last.
I'm a Woodbridge Academy student. I'm a Woodbridge Academy student. I'm a Woodbridge Academy student.
I am a Woodbridge Academy student. I am a Woodbridge Academy student. I am a Woodbridge Academy student.
Our small school of 284 students come from all over Middlesex County. However, there is one thing that we all share: the identity of a Woodbridge Academy student. As the #1 school in the county, the Academy students are faced with hundreds of opinions, assumptions, expectations, and stereotypes. Over the course of 4 years at the Academy, many students have experienced the effects of such inputs. But what does it mean for the high schoolers of Woodbridge Academy? Are students motivated to fulfill the promised roles that have been placed upon their shoulders? Or are they drained from attempting to achieve greatness that they will never be able to obtain?
Stereotype promise was inspired by the popularization of model minorities, a term associated with the success of Asian Americans. In 2014, Jennifer Lee and Min Zhao noticed a trend among her students and described it as the promise of being viewed through the lens of a positive stereotype that leads one to perform in such a way that confirms the positive stereotype, thereby enhancing performance, leading to the creation of the term stereotype promise. One example they described is when a Vietnamese American student who was originally a straight C student was told that she should be more smart because she's Asian. Determined to prove that she too could achieve success, she took a plethora of AP classes and put effort to eventually graduate high school with a 4.2 GPA. In this scenario, the student's self-fulfilling prophecy comes true as she achieves the Asian stereotype.
They don't have to work hard.
Hardworking.
Smart, nerdy.
Like, extremely smart.
Nerds. On athletic wins. Nerds.
Yes, to live up to the Woodbridge Academy expectations.
Yes.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, definitely.
Overachieving, sleep-deprived, competitive, pretentious, nerdy, smart. These were words that Woodbridge Academy students said they were described as in a survey. The second question that was asked regarding whether or not going to Woodbridge Academy motivated students to work harder, 87.8% of students agreed that it did. As for those who responded yes, here were some of the responses that they had. As we suspected, all of those who responded no to the second question were seniors who have had first-hand experience of some of the potential negative effects of stereotype promise as a Woodbridge Academy student. Some of the responses that they gave were: Now, as we reflect on the effects of stereotype promise, we can see both how it can be something that boasts students to do better and work to live up to their expectations, but can also subsequently be something that creates unnecessary pressure to perform for students and could create negative feelings when not met.
How many colleges did you apply to roughly, including programs?
I applied to 20 colleges flat.
The average American high schooler applies to between 8 and 12 colleges. At Woodbridge Academy, that average has risen dramatically to 21 schools. Besides the pressure for academic success, the main contributor to this high college application count is none other than the peers of each applicant. Herd mentality is a sociological phenomenon where an individual's behavior is controlled by the behavior of those around them, regardless of that person's individual circumstances or preferences.
Do you think the concept of herd mentality applies to your peers currently with extracurriculars?
Yeah, somewhat. I mean, not everyone is doing the exact same thing, but I feel like most people, after telling other people what they do, I feel like a lot of people get influenced by that and try to do the same things. I know, if you interview a lot of people, they'll probably say the same extracurriculars as others. So I mean, I feel like it's prevalent in all grades.
Why do you think people follow what their peers or people around them do, even though it's also their first time applying to college, versus taking the advice of teachers or more experienced people?
Well, if I knew the answer to peer pressure, I'd be a very rich woman. So peer pressure is real. and they just do it. And that's herd mentality, peer pressure, all of the above.
While many juniors at the Academy plan to apply to around 10 to 12 schools, many seniors admit that they apply to around 15 to 20, marking an astounding difference between how many schools students here initially plan to apply to versus how many they actually end up applying to due to many factors, one of them being herd mentality. Even Mrs. Elko, our guidance counselor, expressed that she strongly believes that Academy students apply to way too many schools and programs. As expected, she agrees with the idea that many students add colleges and programs to their list, as you see many of their peers apply to these colleges and programs even if these schools aren't a good fit for them. Due to the competitive nature of Woodbridge Academy, students start feeling pressure to conform to rankings and reputation when it comes to applying for and choosing for a college, even if these colleges aren't a good fit for them. Additionally, students seeing all their friends do something encourages them to do it as well. This applies to many extracurricular activities that get included on the students' college applications as well. Many students at Woodbridge Academy do the same extracurricular activities as each other, believing that these specific activities are a gateway to success. This causes a loss of individual identity at our school, inherently working against many students during the college application process.
Do you think the stress of applying to all those 20 colleges or more is worth it? Yeah.
It was annoying, but I think it would be worth it because you have more options the more effort you put into different colleges.
Absolutely not. Like, we're all gonna we're gonna end up where we're destined to be, I feel. And no matter how stressful it was in the moment, I feel like it really wasn't. I think we're all gonna go to a place that we were meant to go to. It wasn't worth all that.
Was the stress of college applications worth it? As students embark on their path to college, understanding the impact of herd mentality can help students evaluate what they truly want from their college experience. By prioritizing their own values and goals, they can find the right fit and choose the path that is best for them.
As one of the most prestigious schools in the region, Woodbridge Academy's halls are filled with ambitious students seeking academic greatness. But to truly understand this process, we must examine it through the lens of social capital theory. So what exactly is social capital theory? Before we get to that, we need to understand two main concepts: resources and network. A resource is anything that allows you to get something done, whether it is a person of influence, a type of technology, or even monetary funds. Your social network, on the other hand, is made up of your relationships with other people. The social capital theory explains that the nature of your relationships with other people determines how much access you have to the resources within your network. Considering this, it's not surprising to find that 7 out of 9 surveyed teachers at Woodbridge Academy say that a student's character is the #1 quality they consider when writing a letter of recommendation. Which qualities stand out to you in students you tend to write letters for?
Leadership, character.
Demonstrations of leadership.
The contents of their character, to quote Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., but that actually is real. So for example, it's not just about respect. I would want to see if they were basically, how can I put this? It's not like that you have to be bubbly and social all the time. It's that in addition to being respectful and dedicated in terms of to yourself academically, meaning you do this for you, not for me, I would want to see them as someone who has empathy and compassion for others. That's what I actually do prize there.
What would it take for a student to get an outstanding letter of recommendation?
Do well in my class, participate in class discussions, actively be an active member of the academy.
Leadership, they will need to show character and they will need to show interest in my class.
That would definitely require a lot more than the basics. So in addition to getting a good grade in my class by the end of the school year, as well as their reputation, I would need to know them outside of academia in terms of clubs. So for example, as the advisor for the newsletter club, or even for Amnesty this year at least, if I interact with them and know that they're a great writer, they're a great leader, obviously their letter of recommendation would be more than just talking about how great they are academically.
Which teachers did you ask for college letters of recommendation and why?
So I asked Senora Weschler and Dr. Weimer. Dr. Weimer because she's seen me in chemistry and physics and she knows much more about how, my laboratory skills are and how I am at chemistry and physics. And Senora because she's seen me on an emotional aspect and Spanish was one of my worst subjects, so I think she's gonna vouch for me. She might vouch for me on that,
I
I asked Miss Hoffman, Miss Valu, and Miss Bowen, mostly because I needed different subjects for my letter of regs, and also these were the 3 teachers that I felt like I had the biggest connection with. Miss Bowen is part of the Red Cross Club that I'm part of, so I thought that might help her have more to say about me because we spend more time together.
I asked Miss Wilhelmi because I was in the classes for 2 years and I did a club that she was part of. And I asked Mr. Turner because I actively participate in his class and we talk about stuff other than school. I asked Senor Nava and Dr. Rivera as my primary college letters of recommendation. Senor Nava, I'm the vice president of the Spanish Honor Society and I have a great relationship with his classes. And I used Dr. Rivera because I wanted a STEM letter of recommendation and he's a class I really enjoyed and learned a lot about.
Well, Miss Valu didn't ask me, she kind of just asked hey, do you want me to write you a letter of recommendation? So I mean, yeah, why not?
I asked Dr. Weimer and Mr. Stiles. I asked Dr. Weimer because freshman year she was the advisor for HOSA and she was our council advisor. So she was council advisor when we started, and she is council advisor, sorry. So through this, I just feel like she can talk to my experiences and qualities. And Mr. Stiles I asked because of experience in Model UN, and I think I did particularly good in his class, and JSA, technically.
I asked Dr. Weimer and Mr. Stiles because I have had both of them for 2 years. I feel like I know both of them pretty well, and I think both of them like me. Hopefully both of them like me. So I felt comfortable asking them, and they wouldn't write something not IB material on my rec letters.
The trust and rapport built between students and teachers can significantly influence a student's future, making the cultivation of these relationships essential. Given this, it might be easy to view such relationships as transactional. As we've explored, the letter of recommendation process is far more than a simple formality. However, we ask you to build valuable relationships before you need them, and not because you need them, but because you genuinely care. Are your relationships a form of capital, or rather, proof of community?